5:16, and I'm calling the meeting of the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District to order. Sue, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sue. Potential conflict of interest, Catherine.
Just a reminder, I'm still employed by P6 Schools.
Thank you, Sue.
No.
And none for me, Celeste.
None.
National Special District Day. Catherine, do you want to read the proclamation, please?
I would love to. Resolution recognizing National Special District Day on May 6th. Whereas special districts are local governments that provide essential public services such as fire protection, water and sanitation, healthcare, parks and rec, recreation, libraries, transportation, and other specialized services that enhance the safety, health, and quality of life of communities. And whereas special districts play a vital role in meeting local needs through focused governance, community leadership, and responsible stewardship of public resources. And whereas the National Special Districts Association advocates for nearly 40,000 special districts nationwide, working to elevate awareness and strengthen the role of districts in serving communities. And whereas the National Districts Make the Difference campaign highlights the services, leadership, and community impact of special districts across the United States. And whereas recognizing the contributions of special districts helps promote public awareness of the essential services districts provide every day. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District hereby recognizes May 6, 2026 as National Special District Day and joins communities across the nation in celebrating the vital role special districts play in delivering essential local services. And be it further resolved that Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District encourages residents, community partners, and public officials to learn more about special districts and the important work they perform to strengthen communities. Adopted this 28th day of May, 2026.
Thank you, Catherine. And are we doing any special events on Special District Day?
We're going to do some social media promotion, and but no, we don't have any other special events right now.
Okay, do we need a vote on this?
Yes, if you want. I don't think so, but up to you.
On a proclamation, do we need a vote? Okay,
It's just red.
no vote, and
And then you
then
have a picture opportunity
Send
for
me
the mayor.
send me the original, just the original.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, public comments. Marty, do you have anything to say?
Yes. Marty Weiss, Seaside, Oregon. I'm here once again to actually voice my disappointment in the board regarding the lack of activity or action taken thus far to remedy the slippery floor in the women's locker room. Thus far, I've gotten only rhetoric from Skylar. We put up signs. We're asking people to do this, this, and this. We're working with other districts to see what their issues are with their pools and their floors. That's irrelevant. What's relevant is that the floor is treacherous. And I invite each and every one of you, and Mike Hinton too, to come in at about 10 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, barefoot. Barefoot. Skylar said that the flooring was put down. One of the reasons was to mitigate the puddling. As I tell you, the puddling is worse than I've ever seen. You go by the three-stall toilets, and the middle one has quite a bit of water accumulated there. So as far as mitigating the puddling, that hasn't done the trick. I just don't know what to say. Skylar said no reports in the last 9 months. I asked to see a list of the reports of slipping, whoever it's, Berger, to see what incidents there were reported before that. And so far, I have gotten nothing back. Skylar said that he was going to have staff work on that and they'd get back to me. But I'd like to know. So far, we know for sure that Kate Bulletset fell and broke her wrist. So far, we know that a teacher from the elementary school was taken out on a gurney. And so far, we know that a woman, right after Skylar put the flooring down, shortly after, it'll be 11 years in July that he's been the manager. Shortly after the flooring was put down, a woman by the name of Carol slipped and fell, and 2 weeks later, she died. Don't know if she ever reported the incident to her family. I'm sure that there was I never read anything in the paper about a lawsuit, and if I asked about it, I'm sure I wouldn't be told anything. So we know for sure 3 situations, we know that little kids have fallen. And that also is an excuse. Well, they run, to put a floor down in an area that gets wet, and the floor gets slippery when it gets wet, doesn't seem like whoever organized that knew what they were doing. That would be my opinion, to put a flooring down that gets slippery when it gets wet, because it's in a shower, so it's going to get wet. I mean, A, B, and C equals D. In any event, I tried calling the flooring company, and apparently, I don't know if they're in business or not, but I get no answer. It just keeps ringing and ringing. So there's nobody to ask about what the flooring was put down. I've asked Skylar about records of that, and so far,
Thank you, Marty.
nothing. Thank you.
And I'll discuss it during my board comment, and I'll ask Isaiah to record the time when that happens.
Thank you.
You can call and
Thank you.
ask for Isaiah. Correspondence.
Okay, you have one item of correspondence to review. Met with the transportation supervisor from Seaside School District, Chris Peters, a week or so ago. And the school district has requested, if possible, that we could donate some of the surplus lockers that are at the Sunset Recreation Center. As you might know, from being in the building, when the middle school became vacant, they didn't take any of the old lockers that they had, and so there's a good amount of lockers still remaining. I think Chris had he had desires on certain lockers that were that are in the building still. But Chris Peters, the transportation supervisor. But it's been our process in the past when community organizations or nonprofits or anyone outside of the surplus sales that we had when we first bought the building, it's been our process to bring these types of requests to the board for consideration. I'm happy to take action, get more information from Chris. In his letter, he indicates that they don't have the budget to purchase the lockers, so it seems as if they're asking for a donation for 24 of the smaller, I call them half lockers.
So are they surplus? We have no use for them.
So I can confidently say that we have no use for the abundance of the lockers that we have. I think there is use for some of the lockers. I think the ones maybe specifically that he's requesting we have use for, but I think there's other ones that might be serviceable that are currently in the boys' locker room. There's also banks and banks of other lockers. I just can't imagine that we'd have any use for. I mean, there's probably 250 lockers in the building. Some of them
Most just built into the walls and all of it.
Some are built in and some are, fixed to the wall. So I think, again, he had eyes on kind of the half lockers, because they would fit sort of his needs and what he was hoping to accomplish.
So what do you recommend?
I would recommend asking Chris if he's okay accepting the half lockers that are in the boys' locker room. They're about the same size as the ones that he prefers. They're just a little bit older. And I think if we were to remodel the locker rooms, which is probably a more eminent task than some other spaces of the SRC, that new lockers would probably be a feature that would be accomplished. Or, I don't think we would repurpose those lockers.
So do you need 2 2 votes, one to declare the lockers surplus, and then the second to donate them to the transportation.
That would be
Or
great.
are you looking for just one vote?
I think one vote is adequate, so long as it's clear on what you'd like staff to do. And, again, we've had these requests before, and we've had some that the board has declined, and we've had some that the board has accepted.
Maybe we just tell them that when we model the lockers, we will part of the agreement of getting the softball field.
Yeah, it is. I think you're saying that in facetious manner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if not, I can post that. That's okay.
I just wanted to see what that probably is something we discussed in a while. Anyway.
Yeah, I think both organizations are at maybe a little bit of a financial pause for some of our capital projects that we'd like to do and like to see. And as you all know, the school district is in a bit of a transition with their superintendent position. So I think once that gets settled, that conversation will be re-engaged. We actually have an IGA management committee meeting next week, but it's going to be on our agenda.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we entertain the donation of 24 half lockers to Chris Peters at Sunset Empire Park. No, transportation.
Seaside School District.
So he works
Oh,
at the
the
school
school
district?
district?
Yeah, he's like the bus,
Okay.
transportation bus
Sorry, Chris.
supervisor. It's okay.
Yeah. No,
So, Catherine, are you prohibited from voting on this?
I'm gonna abstain.
So,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second to declare surplus and donate lockers to the Seaside School District. Is that right?
That sounds like a great.
Can I ask for clarification?
Sure.
Were we specific in the naming the lockers, Skylar, that you referenced, the older ones, that I think it would be important for the record to make sure that we indicated which, since it sounds like it's a slight variance from what was requested.
Yeah. I think what she's
Amend
asking
your
for,
motion.
yeah, would you amend your motion?
Specify which lockers, the ones in the boys' locker room.
Okay, so I'm being told, so I'm to amend what I
You don't have
said.
to.
So I move that we donate 24 half lockers in the boys' locker room to Seaside School
Declare
District.
them surplus and donate them to the Seaside School District.
Okay. What he said.
Okay, what he said.
Yeah.
Is there, the second needs to,
Yeah, second, I'll second that,
okay,
amended.
so we have a motion and a second.
Got changed.
Roll call vote, all in favor,
Abstain.
Sue,
Aye.
Celeste,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Employee of the month, Kip Keller. Kip is not here. Gosh dang it, I always like it when they're here.
He's very shy.
Do they?
Yeah.
I really like the
But
picture.
if you start talking to him, he really opens up.
Yeah. I mean, that picture where the one kid is going hi and the other one's going, what's going on? I mean, I think that's just perfect for him.
Kip Keller is our Employee of the Month for April 2026, and we are enormously proud of him. As our most tenured maintenance team member, Kip has consistently gone above and beyond to keep our grounds looking their best. His hard work, dependability, and attention to detail truly make a difference every day. Beyond the great work that he does, Kip is known for being a kind and caring person who is always willing to help in any way that he can. He truly makes our workplace better for everyone, and we're incredibly grateful to have him on our team. Thank you, Kip, and congratulations on the Employee of the Month for April 2026. Okay, we have a quorum. Celeste, Catherine has to leave for about 40 minutes, starting at about 5:50, so.
But you'll still have a quorum as long as you don't
We'll
go
still
away.
have a quorum as long as you're not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
Okay, in that case, we'll just follow the order of the the agenda, and Darren.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, guys. It's always an absolute pleasure to be here with you. And Celeste, I'm glad you could be here with us as well. So, sorry we didn't have a meeting this afternoon. That's okay.
Well, Skylar has given you 5 minutes for your presentation, Darren.
5 minutes?
I will see if I can cut through this in 5 minutes. It's actually going to be a short presentation, high-level overview. So, hey, here we go. Okay.
Is that a cup of coffee in the
It
background?
is a cup of coffee. One of my favorite things. That's the first thing I do when I arrive in the morning. To my office is
I'm a terrible secretary, I don't know how to make coffee. I don't brew coffee, so when at work, it was like, sorry, you guys, you'll have to make it yourself. I told my boss that when, and somebody said to hire me, what a great excuse.
Well, if you worked in a hospital, I wouldn't drink that coffee either.
Well, no, I mean, and, you know, and I work,
Just try to read this. Just kill time.
So, you don't
Tell
know,
a joke. Tell a joke.
I'm sorry, what was that joke?
I don't have any jokes I probably can share. Sorry. Yeah, I used to fish a lot with my dad when I was younger, and all of his friends, and none of his friends had.
None of these bad jokes, I do.
Oh, actually, no. No. I do know one really good joke. What do you get when you play country music backwards?
I don't know.
You get your house back, you get your car back, you get your dog back. Okay. Yeah.
That is good.
But you
I
don't
like
get your
that.
girlfriend
And
back.
what about, how about your mama?
Great stuff.
When Michaela was about 5, she made up a joke. Ready?
Yeah.
What is the politest dinosaur?
I don't know.
A plesiosaurus.
This part is very nice.
Well, my favorite from a kid was she came running in after the birth of a cat.
Yeah.
And she literally, she's like 7, Mom, the cow is decaffeinated.
Oh, it's so low.
It's like, that is just so, how did she do that?
Skylar's cutting into your 5 minutes.
You got 3 minutes left.
Okay, bye.
Hey, let's go now.
I just think it's hilarious that.
Good job.
Okay.
Here we go. All right.
Do a stand over here.
All right. So our Director of Development Annual Board Report.
Oh, you can,
I can do it.
you know how to work that?
I do know how to work that thing. I have a MacBook. One of the only Apple products I own, by the way. All right, so just thought I'd share with you guys a few pictures of a very, very high point in my life. Literally, not just figuratively. So, yeah, it was summer of 2021 that my wife and I got to visit Machu Picchu. Yes, we spent a good deal of time in Cusco. It was an amazing trip. This is us at Sacsayhuaman, which is just outside of Cusco. Most of those blocks are anywhere from 20 to 80 tons, fit together very, very perfectly. It was amazing. This is actually a picture. How many people watch Ancient Aliens?
I do.
All right, then you're familiar with the Romumuru, supposedly a portal to another world. It was a really interesting experience actually standing in this site. This is actually south of Puno in the Chucuito region of Peru. We also had the opportunity to visit Rainbow Mountain. The picture does it no justice. It's actually much more brilliantly colored than that. But where we were standing up here is 16,500 feet in altitude. So it was a pretty amazing trip. 15,000 feet at the parking lot, just FYI. This is us in Ollantaytambo in the Sacred Valley. And then in 2022, we went back again for a few weeks. And we actually took a day trip into Bolivia. So we crossed the border south of Puno and spent an hour and a half trying to get into their country. It didn't feel like they really wanted us there, but we got in. So, and our visa was good for 10 years, so it's really amazing. So we visited a site called Tiwanaku, and it's an adjoining site. It's Pumapunku. It's where they have these really crazy H blocks. So really, really exciting trip. So
So Darren,
yeah.
is there any weird, you know, like how the Oregon down in,
Oh, the Oregon Vortex.
yes, so I mean, are there stuff like that there?
Supposedly with this site, sometimes at night, people can hear sounds coming from this area. So yeah, one Peruvian gentleman reported actually seeing kind of like starlight through here. Is kind of weird. So yeah, very strange. Have some reported odd things that occur there. As always, have to share a little Sasquatch meme with you. Even if no one believes in you, believe in yourself. So, all right. So my areas of responsibility, just high level, grant writing, technology, and maintenance. So we're going to go through and talk a little bit about last year. So last year, I ended up writing 8 grant requests during the entirety of 2025. Worth a total of $67,500. I successfully received 8 of the 8 requests, so 100% success rate, yay! For a total of $63,500. Among those grants, the Austin Foundation, I wrote earlier this year $6,000 for the SRC kitchen project. I also followed that up with a request to Roundhouse Foundation for that same kitchen project and received $25,000. So $31,000 total for that project. We also followed up the Oregon Farmers Market Association Climate Resiliency Grant. We got pretty close to $15,000 from that the prior year. They had a follow-up piece with some additional funding for $2,500. So that's going to go towards Seaside Farmers Market to purchase some heavier duty tents. So we're going to replace some of those that have broken over the past couple of years. Classic child care expansion, $17,500 for youth programs. It's sort of hanging out there right now, kind of dependent on our occupancy. But I had a meeting with Chrissy Brown, who works for the Classic Child Care Coalition. And their round 6 grant funding is coming out next month. So we're going to go ahead and apply for that as well. So as soon as we get occupancy, we'll have that money in our pockets. So Farmers Market Fund Growth Grant, $2,500 for Seaside Farmers Market. That one's up a little bit this year. And then local city grants, City of Seaside, City of Cannon Beach, and City of Deer Heart for foundation scholarships. So between all of those, we brought in $10,000 last year.
So all of these are for projects except for one, which is for a program.
Correct.
And that's the child care expansion. So if we receive that grant and even grant this year, is that going to be a continuing operation that we're going to need grants for?
That, so interestingly enough, the child care expansion grant, what they have done with that money is it's supposed to be for increasing capacity. So,
But if we're successful and we increase capacity, the next year we're going to have to fund that increase.
We're going to have to, right, exactly. So Celeste and I have some ideas, actually.
Okay.
So she and I have had some really great conversations around that, and so more to come on that piece. Last year also, I worked with the foundation board on the 2nd annual Hood to Coast Parking and Shower fundraiser. Spent a lot of time working with the foundation board on ways to increase our revenues for the scholarship fund. We tend to set about $22,000 as our annual bar for fundraising for that program. So we were able to raise $5,166 last August for scholarships. Also, this year, just back in February, the foundation board and the folks with Get Out the Float, a lot of you are familiar with the furries, that come to town every year.
Yeah.
It actually has a name. It's called Get Out the Float.
Oh.
And Louis Lamp is their organizer, and I worked a lot with Louis and our foundation board members because during the course of their event here in Seaside, they have a section of their group that does nothing but fundraise for a local charity, and we are the local charity of choice. Our foundation and scholarship program. So over the past couple of years, I've been trying to get the board members to come out and, you know, speak during the opening ceremonies, speak during the closing ceremonies, and then maybe spend some time there.
When is that?
It's usually in February, the last weekend of February. Yeah. And so the board really jumped on it with a gusto this year, and came out and represented the foundation during the event. And this year the event raised $5,000, which was amazing. It actually doubled from the amount from the prior year. So yeah. So yeah, all totaled, we brought in $21,000 and some change total for the foundation scholarships, and we gave out $19,580 last year in scholarships. So we had a little bit more than what was requested. So looking ahead for 2026, though, do plan to submit many of the same annual local and community grants as 2025. Again, spending that time going to the cities asking for money for scholarships. Really trying to build keep that scholarship program at that level so we can continue offering the scholarships that we do. And then seeking out new opportunities aligned with the grant strategies that Celeste and I have been working on. We've been meeting pretty regularly over the past several months, really going through and looking at the grant needs of the district and trying to rank and prioritize those grants. This year we settled on looking forward at three main areas. One of those was the SRC kitchen project. The other is the need for a new boiler in the main pool. And then youth programs, trying to supplement and help bolster the financial need of the youth programs. So since we kind of will be, you know, kind of done with the fundraising for the SRC kitchen project, we'll go back to that priority list to set out another priority for this year too. So it would be a great thing. Thank you so much, Celeste, for all your help with that.
And Darren, the group is called the Furries. That's the name of the
It's
group.
called Get Out the Float. They are furries. They identify as furries.
Right, so that's Get Out the Float is the organization?
Yeah, because they use our pool and they put a lot of floaties in there and play around in the pool. At some point during their weekend, they rent the pool. So it's called Get Out the Float. And then the floats, when they're not in use of the pool, are over at the convention center, just on display in the main hall area. So yeah, it's interesting. Looking at technology. So over this past year, Isaiah has worked very, very hard in installing a series of ubiquity key card locks at the SRC as part of a grant that we got in a prior year from SDAO. And installing Wi-Fi and AV and cameras in the softball, baseball, and football crow's nest out at Broadway Field. So we spent a fair amount of time out with the new baseball crow's nest, getting that installed. That also included, we have the osprey nest out there and a point-to-point bridge between the pole at the osprey nest and the pool. What had happened over the past 10 years, 12 years since that was originally installed, that fir tree grew bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and suddenly blocked, and we were having a lot of dropouts with our Wi-Fi bridge. So we had to lift out one afternoon to repair the netting along the north side of the field. So we just drove over there, reoriented the point-to-point bridge so it faced where the new baseball crow's nest was going to be. And now what we do is that signal goes to the crow's nest and then over, so it kind of goes around the tree now, so we have a really super stable.
I've heard
feed over
there's 3 eggs in the
3
nest.
eggs? Yes, yeah, always kept me updated on that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we installed 2 gigabit point-to-point bridges. One between the pool and the SRC, which went in last year, and one between the pool and the Bob Chisholm in this building. That one actually went in just last week. The reason we installed those 2 pieces is because we were spending, and have been spending for the past number of years, a really huge amount of money on maintaining a fiber connection between this building and the pool. So we have the interconnectivity between all of our computers and our servers, our phones and whatnot. It was about $250 a month for this building, $250 a month for that building. And so by installing these 2 sets of units, we actually have been able to cut that cost. So we have just made the phone call to cancel the connection between here. So altogether, that saves us about $8,000 a year. Considering that they're $1,000 for a pair, we'll have those paid off in 4 months, actually, and then start recouping money after that. So we're always trying to balance, technology with cost savings where we can. Looking ahead for 2026, we want to continue improving the IT infrastructure in all 3 facilities, and we will be looking forward to upgrading our internet to gigabit speeds. We've been sitting at a 200 megabit per second speed with our business class internet. Speed tests show that we are maxed out where we're at right now. And a lot of that comes from adding additional cameras to our setup, people being able to get into executive time, do their time cards, telephones, all of that eat up our bandwidth. So we are going to be upgrading that to gigabit. We just signed some documents today to get that started. Also finalizing and implementing the new employee portal. This is a really neat project that Isaiah's been working on for a couple of months now. But it's an internal portal that every employee can log into, see their certifications and when those expire, see their any training videos that they're due to watch, and just a gaggle of other information. They can all do work orders, submit work orders right from that portal. It's pretty exciting project that he's been working on. Anything to keep people connected. All right, looking at maintenance, this last year we hired a maintenance technician, Brandon Soria. Brandon was our custodial lead at the SRC, and we had a maintenance technician, Tom, but Tom and his wife made the decision to move closer to the parents. He had a couple of aging parents that needed additional support, so we were sorry to see Tom go, but Brandon is an amazing fit. He does have a desk, but he never sits at it. The guy is always on his feet and always moving. Moving Brandon into that position, we had to hire a new custodial leader at the SRC. And so we hired Calvin Goodman into that position. Calvin, wonderful kid, just a really, really great worker, is just always very detailed in his work. He was one of our youth programs leaders for about a year, but he wanted to try something a little different, and it ended up being a really, really good fit for Calvin. We had a really good shutdown this last year. We attended to a lot of things that needed to be done. We spent a lot of time polishing stainless steel. So there were a lot of things that needed to be cleaned, tweaked. We spent a lot of time working on the boilers and trying to maintain those, cleaning out the little fins in there so they have better flow through the heat exchangers. And then, of course, we talked about budget committee meeting, the repair of the LP surge tank. Float valve in there had not been working for who knows how long, but you need a way to shut off that inflow into that tank from the floor drains in the pool, so that you're able to recapture all the water that goes over the edge into the scuppers. So you always want your scupper to fill the surge tank first, not your main drains. So the main drain is valved. Those have not been working for a long, long time. Almost impossible part to find, and if you could, it was about $3,500. So we were able to 3D print just a little inner valve piece.
Where'd you get the design for that?
We created it in-house. We had the old one, and so it was just a matter of taking the measurements off of it, and then we used a program called Blender to design the new piece. So, yeah, you can render all kinds of 3D designs with Blender. So after kind of a short how-to with my son, who builds like stuff like that all the time, we were able to do that pretty quickly. Looking ahead for 2026, though, working on developing a list of projects and costs for every area of the district. We have made some great strides in doing that, and a lot of that information actually we put into a spreadsheet on Google that Celeste developed. So, and that's where a lot of the information that Celeste and I were looking at came from. So we're also going to continue to tackle a lot of the short-term fixes while we are moving toward our long-term solutions. And a lot of those short-term fixes are little roof leaks here and there, little drywall patches and things like that need to be done. And then developing a plan for long-term solution in the pool locker rooms, and that's something that we've been working pretty hard on. We've had some really great meetings with Sherwin-Williams folks. We have a guy over there named Garrett. Garrett's just a super guy. He's come out a couple of times and looked at our flooring situation, looking at our needs. We spent a lot of time going through, this is the product needs to be able to do this, it needs to be this, it needs to be this. And he actually came up with a single product that we think is going to work brilliantly in that area. We tried a couple of other products in the men's locker room. Both of those failed. So we're moving ahead with Sherwin-Williams to get a hold of a gallon of the material, create a test patch in the men's locker room, especially in one of the areas where the floor dips like this and the water tends to pool, because we really want to know how that product is going to perform being submerged for periods of time. So that's really, that was the failure point for our other products, right? Needs to go on easily, needs to be able to add additional grit or traction material to it. So we had to meet all of those needs. And in addition to that, we worked with Garrett to come up with some kind of material that will seal the brick on the outside of the building. We found that we're getting some water penetration through the brick, especially in the women's locker room. It's causing bubbling on the walls. There's a lot of efflorescence that's occurring where the minerals are developing on the inside of the brick. It's the difference between the cooler outside temperature and the warmer inside temperature. It tends to draw that through. And as far as I'm aware, that brick has never been sealed. So working with Garrett, he came up with a product that worked really, really well on that. So get that sealed, that should mitigate a lot of our water penetration through that brick. It's starting to develop this condensation up in some closed ceiling spaces too. So, all right. Yeah, my community volunteerism. So 2016 to present, have been the board president of the South County Community Food Bank. Just a really wonderful group of folks over there and volunteers. And then in 2009, I became a Kiwanian. So I've been a Kiwanis member ever since. And spent a good deal of my time as a Kiwanian working with the Seaside Middle School Builders Club. I'm the club advisor to the Builders Club. My wife is the faculty advisor. We have about 45 to 50 kids. Those kids this year got to participate in the Schnitzer Cares program. So if they raised $750, Schnitzer Cares gave them $7,500. And then, if they raise an additional 750, Schnitzer Cares match that, $10 for every dollar that they raised. So my kids, ended up with $15,750 to give out in a community grant. And, so they, just a few weeks ago, they settled, they went through interview processes, they set all the interviews up, they interviewed all of the, prospective, grantees, and, they settled on 3 local organizations to get the grants to. So it's really exciting, to be a part of that process, to really see those kids, grow, and especially to see, like the one kid that was like swinging from the chandeliers, the class period before, sit down and ask a really thoughtful, question of the folks that, were there to present. So it was really a neat thing to see. So that's all I have for you guys. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm curious about the topic of the security for out front, and what the status of a camera or, I mean, just a sign. I mean, so I digress for about 10 seconds.
Okay.
My dad put a sign on our front door. This house protected by a battery operated alarm system. It was my dog, and our house was the only one that was never hit. So, I mean, true enough. I mean, the police actually came out saying, "What's your secret?" So anyway, I'm just curious, can we tell people we're watching you?
It's on our dashboard, for, as we go around and we're looking at where additional cameras need to be installed. That's one that's on our dashboard. The corner of the building over by the little park space there is another one, where we'd like to have eyes. And then we have some areas at the SRC, that are also slated to have cameras installed as well.
And also, with our mishap that wasn't tragic, with that car that went airborne, is there anything any stanchion or whatever we can put up?
The city has a plan in place, for that. I don't know what their timeline is to make that happen.
It's just remarkable that, that's a heads up warning that, if we do something, maybe we can prevent that in the future.
Exactly.
But, I'm grateful for how things turned out.
Yeah, city has a plan, but again, I haven't heard timeline on it, but I know they've got something in the works for it.
So Darren, you mentioned your employee portal. So what will employees be able to do on that portal? Will they be able to fill out incident reports? Will they?
Yes. The incident reports,
pull down
accident reports.
forms, they can fill out forms and do everything on that?
Yeah, incident, accident, they'll have access to be able to fill out. They'll be able to, submit the work orders. Right now we have probably 2 or 3 different ways to submit work orders. So that'll be options. There'll be some options for them that are grayed out, but are more management level, pieces. So, purchase requests, submitting, credit card receipts and all of that kind of stuff that we currently do have in a database, but it will become more part of that portal. But really them being able to see the certifications that they hold, and when those certifications expire, that kind of lets them know when they need to, get in there, get in queue for the updating those.
So on the incident reports, how are we currently capturing incident reports?
They're paper copies.
Paper copies. So if Marty has a concern about slips and falls, then we can't electronically search that database to find out how many people have fallen.
So interestingly enough, staff have been going through and putting in inputting old ones, scanning. So going and filling out the information digitally in the database that we have. That database is going to be migrated into the new portal database. But staff have been going back and entering those, and then also uploading and attaching to that entry a copy of the original paper form. So
when a member of the public has a complaint about slips and falls in the bathroom, we can electronically search that and say, well,
Yeah.
we've had 10 bathroom incidents in the last 10 years, and 3 of them were slips and falls.
Yeah. Exactly, okay, yeah. Fantastic, all right.
I'd like just to say, Darren, it's been great to work with you on some of the grant stuff, and just to share with the rest of the board, I think one of the things that Darren and I have talked about, we did an interim sort of strategy, which we passed by Skylar just for, to ensure it was right, but I think one of the things that we've been focusing on is making sure that we are, rather than finding a grant and then designing something to fill that grant, that we have been strategic. And I think once we have a strategic plan over the hump here, which we're coming up on quickly, I have a meeting with Sid, that meeting's on Friday, or one of our follow-up meetings. Once we have the strategic plan, we will have a holistic plan to design what we pursue in grants. Because what we don't want is just to find a funder and then go after money that then goes right back out our door, right? It doesn't sustain the stuff we've identified that's important. So I think I've appreciated, Derek, and we've had some good, robust conversations about strategy and how we decide what to pursue.
Exactly, and that always got us into the landscape of where we hadn't budgeted. And we have this great opportunity, but we didn't budget for it over here, and so it ends up hitting the bottom line, and yeah, really, so, yeah, I appreciate that, Celeste, thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Appreciate it, thank you guys.
Board meeting minutes for March 31st.
So the copy that's in here is the old one? That didn't have the changes? You asked me to text you, so I did.
You did,
Well,
it's okay.
I pushed send.
I know, I never got it, after we talked. So it's okay, but what you guys can do is we can edit them in real time, and then you can amend, or you can approve them as amended, if you'd like, or you can give me the changes now, and I can bring them back to our next board meeting.
Do you have some proposed amendments?
Well, number one, we spelled Bob's name incorrectly.
Yeah, I spelled it twice
So we need
incorrectly,
to
so sorry about
fix that.
Yeah.
The other one wasn't so bad, it's just I would just scrap my whole board comment and rewrite it. Because the point of what I was trying to say was my history of being a USA swim official, gives me a little more credibility than just being a parent. And, I mean, I'm the one that wrote out the incident reports for the kids who were injured on the shallow end when they had friction burns on their skin, on their chest. And so what I had requested was that we add a comment that, because I'm not just a parent, I am a swim parent, but then I became a swim official. And I've been involved with the pool since 1996. So, in the history of us not doing swim meets at this pool is because it was too shallow. And I've seen 2 documented incidences that our pool is too shallow, but I've been trying to reach USA Swimming, and they have seen to call me back, so I'm going to show up at their doorstep and say, I want to know, because I think, Bob has a valid point in saying there are changes, and, so anyway, my board comment was reflective of my history and, that I have concerns. So, anyway, the biggest thing I wanted to be sure was make sure that we were consistent in spelling Bob's name right.
Okay, I have one proposed amendment. At the bottom of the second page, it says we reviewed and discussed the budget committee interview, but it doesn't say that we voted on that budget committee member. And I recall it voted. Now, I think it's important that we...
It's on the next page.
Did I miss, is it on the next page?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up at the top. It's just, see,
Oh, it's in italics.
It's in italics.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay.
I
I thought
saw,
we missed it too, but then,
I look at when my name is there.
I'm sorry, my mistake.
what is-
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other, amendments, moves, adds, or changes to the, board meeting minutes?
No, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes with the described, edits, inclusive of any that we may have missed that, are included in, the email that Sue will send, that I move that we, accept those minutes with that amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, roll call vote. Celeste?
Aye?
Sue?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Financials. I think I had some notes on here too. It didn't come up in the budget meeting, but I have a question. Last year, my memory, is foggy here, but last year I thought we had about 44 and a half employees.
Full-time
FTEs,
equivalent? Yeah.
FTEs.
Yeah.
And now, I'm just looking here on page 6, we got 46.46. Is that just, do we add positions or we're just, backfilling vacancies?
It's possible it was just backfilling holes that existed last year at that time. It's
Okay.
also possible, we did expand, our infant toddler program, remember it in, January to
Right,
take on
right,
2
right.
more kiddos, and so maybe we added a couple of positions at that time.
Okay.
That weren't-
It's fine, I'm just trying to keep my arms around how many employees we have.
If this was sent.
And then, on the first page,
Yeah.
it says total, it's on the FY to date, fiscal year to date, it says total expenses 2.3 and change, but then below that it says 20,497. What is that?
I see it. I'm not sure. Darren, do you remember what that little number is? You know it. You want me to show you?
Oh, I see, yeah, I see it down here at the bottom.
I don't remember that being a number, that column exists, or row existing before.
Yeah, I know,
There's a zero in the annual budget column.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I would actually have to go back and look at this report and, not on a printed copy, but
Okay, so it says,
it's possible that a row inadvertently got added in down there to the spreadsheet.
okay,
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Are you talking about the bottom row, or next to the bottom row?
The next to the
Where are you
bottom
talking
row,
about?
the 20,497.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what that was, where it came from.
Yeah, we'll put a big question mark next to it.
So then the bottom line is our revenues plus working capital. So in the first column, it looks like we got about 500 grand in working capital. The second column makes it look like we got 1.2 and change in working capital. No, I'm sorry, again, about 500,000, but the third line, we've got zero, third column, we got zero working capital. If you subtract revenues times or minus the bottom line number, does that mean our working capital went to zero?
Sorry, Kyle,
I may not be making sense.
I got a little bit lost. Could you,
Okay, so, the bottom line, revenues plus net working capital. So you go up above, it says total revenues, 3.1. And revenues plus net working capital is 3.6,
Oh, I see
so we got
what you're
about 500,000 in working capital.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And then if you follow that line in the remaining, we got, all of a sudden, we got zero in working capital.
I think what I understand, this last column is the remaining column. So
So it's
the
moved,
900,
it's moved, basically.
the 905
Right,
is all,
okay.
it's spoken for basically from within the budget.
Well, it's what we still expect to receive,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Isn't that what remaining is for
Well,
revenue? It's
What
we still
what we
expect
expect
to
to
come in.
receive and what we expect to.
what we have in the bank.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that that's, it's is a good way of looking at it, or it's not relevant right now. But I think there will be working capital moving forward. It's just, all those funds are spoken for, basically.
Okay.
Well, with the 20,000 plus an aberrancy, you shouldn't be there.
I don't think it
I
should be
couldn't
there, but I'm
balance
not
it
sure
with
what.
anything, so I didn't add it
I'm
into
not sure what
anything.
it's-
because-
I believe it's an aberration in the spreadsheet.
Okay. Those are the only questions I have.
Good questions.
And I already talked to Chris about all the zeros.
Yeah, can you teach us about those voided checks?
Yeah.
Any other questions about the financial
Yeah.
statements?
So the only thing that I would notice, just being, I'm just cognizant of our finances and where we're sitting, and I'm seeing that we are overspent on SRC, material supplies and services, and I'm just wondering if and how we're managing sort of what we need to do, because we're working our way towards occupancy, aside from like special projects, like to spit things up or to make things look, to improve things that are maybe a little bit more voluntary. I know that SEPRD just to make that look better, but I'm just wondering sort of where we are on that, given that we're already overspent, and given that it's frankly a pretty big line item.
Yeah. So I can get you more information on that. I don't know off the top of my head why that is the way, but I'm guessing it's related to some of the things that you mentioned, in terms of, contracts, other work, professional work that we've had done with architects and, builders and those type of things. Darren, do you remember anything different on what is in that?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, in saying that a lot of that, I believe came out of contract services. And so, yeah, that would have been some of the additional things we've had to do for occupancy. But I think there were also a couple of things that we paid for, to upgrade the smoke detectors in the locker rooms to waterproof models.
Yeah.
I recall that was an expenditure this past year as well.
So is the SRC its own fund?
No, it's all part of
So
it.
it's a line item then, so we can overspend the line item without
Yeah.
having to change the budget?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's the plan?
I do wonder, particularly with the SRC, on anything that is our expenditures, specifically for the locker rooms, whether or not that should be visited in the IGA conversations, because I'm presuming that some of those improvements are to improve SRC locker rooms for the use by the school district, I think, but maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm not sure who else is using locker rooms at this point.
Nobody else. The only other thing that I think that the change that, the service that really, necessitated the smoke alarm improvements was the hood to coast. When we use the locker rooms for showers for hood to coast, I think that was when the issue started. To be honest, I think even though the school district is using the locker rooms, we find that the shower usage is not significant. It's there, but compared to the hood to coast, where we had, I don't know, a couple hundred people coming through the building for showers. So, yeah, and it was in conjunction with the fire alarm project. We found that the fire alarms, the devices for that space weren't like friendly for a locker room space. So, anyways, I think the question is good, and I think that's something that, again, we'll revisit as soon as some of the dust sort of settles with the school district and the search. and, what's gonna happen next for us on that capital improvement.
Any more questions on the financial statement?
Well, I think we need to know that that 20,000 is really an embarrassing.
I don't think they're prepared to answer that tonight,
No,
though.
Chris isn't here.
But, regardless, I trust that Skylar and Darren will figure that out and find out where it came from.
And
It's a relatively small number compared to our budget size, so I'm not necessarily worried about it, but I'm with you, Sue, I would like an answer.
I mean, it's just year-to-date, and then it goes to annual budget 0. And that's confusing to me.
Yeah.
And I presume on the, on the materials for SRC, et cetera, that this 114% is gonna be changed, like next month and then months later, because it's like a bunch of bills came due, and so it'll balance out. Correct.
114% on the SRC, yep. I mean, I don't think,
If the materials, supplies,
Yeah,
and
it's-
services,
so that number's not gonna go down, because these are expenses,
Right.
right? And so we've already expended that money. We're already over capacity for that line in the budget.
but next month it shouldn't be as dramatic.
This isn't just for this month, this is year-to-date. So that first column, that 138,000, that's how much we've spent from July 1.
It's probably gonna go higher next month.
It could go higher, yeah, but it's not gonna go substantially higher because we're really,
But if you're not, if you're spending money on the SRC, you're 14% of that budget number comes from someplace else. Are you comfortable with it? You have enough wiggle room in the budget
yeah,
to continue to fund what you
Yeah.
need to fund?
I think we are.
Well, I would point out, because actually our total expenditures are only at 70% of what we budgeted for the year,
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
right? And we're already 75% of the way through the year. In other words, you would expect to spend about the same percentage of your budget as you are through the year. So if you're 3/4 of the way through the year, you'd expect to have spent 3/4 of your budget. But according to this, we're underspending. So we're 3/4 of the way through the year, or 75% of the way through the year, but we've spent 70% of our budget.
Right, but I thought.
So that actually means, yeah, go ahead, Sue.
Well, I thought we couldn't use Peter to pay Paul.
We're not, so all of this is not in, like, the SRC isn't in a, it's not in a separate fund, so it's just a line item in the general fund. And so it's so long as the number down at the bottom doesn't deviate 10%, doesn't go over, like we don't exceed, the total expenses that we budgeted for by more than 10%, then we're okay. And even if it does, honestly, we're okay. I mean, government entities do supplemental budgets frequently. We don't typically do it a lot, but I think, we're okay. You're right, the percentage that we're over is a little bit concerning, especially given that it's a very substantial part of our resources, that line. So, if it's okay, let me look into seeing why we're over that much. I'm trying to pull up last month's budget and see or last month's, board financials and see if, that 20,000 was in there, or if, that number has gone up, the SRC materials services line. But I haven't been able to pull it up yet, but I will pull it up, as we're chatting, or if anybody has their packet from last month.
No, I actually left mine.
No worries. Yeah.
Well, and in regards to Celeste's comment, yes, we're 70%, but if we look at the revenue for SRC, I would anticipate that spending more than allotted in the SRC should lead to greater revenues
Yeah.
in the SRC, and I think we got a lot of room to collect more revenues right
Yeah. I think that's effort as well. Sweet.
now.
Aaron, comments?
Although I would point out that we were expecting
Oh,
SRC revenues
okay.
to be much higher. We'd anticipated 514,000, we're only about a quarter of the way there, just
I know.
slightly over a quarter of the way there. And I think some of that delay, the problem is that we know that we're delayed in full usage because of the delays that we've had in occupancy, and we also, I think we are, at the time we created this budget, we thought we had a lease in place, longer term, and so we don't have that revenue anymore. So that is actually a place that I feel some concern about, that our SRC revenue is not, I don't project that we will hit that full number. And that's substantial, right? We've got a $375,000 gap there, or something like that, in what we are expecting for revenue from SRC versus what we have. So we've got some ground to make up there. So that's why I'm keeping my eye on that particular, on both revenue and expenses concerned with SRC.
Yeah, thank you, I agree.
Okay, so in last month's board packet, I think it got cut off in this spreadsheet, but that $20,497.29 was for the Wanna settlement. It's in the packet last month as the same amount,
Oh.
but just the text got cut off
Okay,
in this. So I think that's.
so that's revenue,
No, that's an expense. So,
so we had to pay,
yeah, so, this is complicated, I wanna make sure I remember how it happened, because it doesn't really have, like, we had nothing to do with it, but, can't remember, it's not timber tax, I think it's, the county and Wanna got in a dispute about how much tax, revenue the Wanna owed to the county.
timber
and
tax, is it timber tax?
It's not timber tax, it's just, property tax, and they ended up suing the county, and the county, they didn't lose, but they took some of our money back that we were expecting, because I think that they're going to lose or they're gonna settle. Can't remember exactly.
So is that just a one-year item, or is that kind of carry over to future years too?
I don't know if it's in the budget, I'm thinking maybe this is the last year, because it's been something that we have factored into the budget for at least the last couple of years.
Okay.
I hope it's done. And then, looking at last month's budget, we were over already on the SRC materials and services line. We were over less. We were over, it looks like we expended about $9,500 in the last month on the on that line. So we were at 106.2% of the budget last month, and now we're at 114%. So we can look and see the exact reasons for that. Don't have them off the top of my head, but I think maybe, there's been a lot of great questions and concerns raised, and I think it's staff's position. I mean, we share a lot of those concerns as well. I think we're in a difficult position with having kind of expected on the building to come through in a lot of ways for us, and it hasn't been able to yet. And it's also been quite costly to do some of the updates and improvements that we wanted to do. Or that we know that the city would require us to get to occupancy so that we could use it more fully.
Okay, so are we still in for a soft landing in June? We're giving us $350,000 in revenue. and-
Softish. I mean, you all were present at the budget meeting, and you saw. I think that gives you some good perspective about some of the financial challenges that we're working through. I think, as Darren eloquently stated, we're going to be operating really efficiently and trying to really, use the resources that we have and hope for good things in terms of occupancy soon, and continue serving the district. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot right now where we're at with some of the factors impacting the budget.
Any other comments on the financial statements? Kathleen, do you have any comments? Okay, we have no motion on the floor.
I'd like to move that we accept the financials, with the correction that we clarify the $20,249.7 to be, the settlement, or the clawback, whatever we want to call that, that gets appropriately labeled.
I'll second that.
There's a second, roll call vote, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 4-0.
All right, Mike's here.
Do we have Michael?
Yep, he's jumping on right now.
Welcome, Mike.
Mike, you there?
I don't see him.
Press the admit button.
If you can hear us, Mike, you're on mute. We don't hear you.
Or C.
Yeah, he's there. He's not on camera, but and muted, but says that he's here. So.
Okay.
Okay.
I know Mike had some.
Old-
I guess he had some
Old business.
stuff today, so maybe he's. Okay, old business. So yeah, a few updates and things. I don't have anything substantial on the strategic plan. Last month when we met, we had made some really great progress, and we had set a meeting date on Tuesday. Our meeting date is on Tuesday, May 12th, with our contractors, and looking forward to that meeting. I think we're still running pretty swiftly in terms of getting this, getting both the strategic plan and the master plan updated, improved, edited. I don't know if Celeste has anything that she wants to share about it, but I know there's been a great deal of work so far. And yeah, looking forward to that. I think that meeting in a couple weeks will be really important for moving the project along and seeing where we're at in terms of getting a finished product out there.
Are we needing a workshop like was suggested?
I was under the assumption that that meeting was with the appointed board members, Kyle and Celeste, and the contractors. If I'm mistaken, we can schedule a workshop. Go ahead.
I think, and I can double check my notes, Skylar, on this. I think the plan is that we are talking to Sid next, which I think is this Friday, actually, just to get some clarity over how the strategic plan and the master plan are going to speak to each other, and what that is going to look like. There was also some discussion about what the design process looks like. Once we have final text, which I'm still working on, but that there's a design piece that makes a difference, because how you read a report like this, often it is impacted by how it's laid out on pages. I think Sid offered up that there may be some capacity for SEA to provide that service. If not, I'm happy to do it on my end, at least for the next draft. What I would propose, and what I had in my head, I think that we talked about in our last meeting, was that once we have a new formatted draft, that the board would look at that, the full board would look at that and provide feedback once again, just to make sure that we captured all of the things that were discussed at the workshop. And if we need a workshop out of that discussion, we could do that, but the next review would be offline and reviewing a PDF draft.
So Celeste, I didn't have this Friday meeting on my schedule. Do you want me there, or are you covering it?
During that meeting, Kyle, I'll go back and look at my notes. I think during that meeting, that was just Sid and I getting together just to figure out logistics about how stuff, but there's no problem with you being there, of course.
Oh, no, I don't want to.
Let me double check. I could be wrong on the date, so I'm going to double check myself.
And the same on the 12th. I don't have that on my calendar either. So if you want me there, you just need to let me know the time and date.
Okay, I'll send it to you. I don't think we have an invite yet. I know Sid was on vacation this week, so I don't think there's an actual invite. But I do know we scheduled this meeting during our last meeting. So I will send out the invite. How about,
That's
yeah,
all.
I will, oh wait, no, I do have a meeting. No, I sent it out. I'll add you to the meeting invite time.
Okay. Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
You do have it, on the 12th one is on your calendar. I know I sent it to you and you accepted it.
Okay.
It's from 1 to 3
Oh, it's on my,
on your district.
district calendar. Okay.
Yeah, and so I think this was just an intermediary one for Sid and I to get on the same page, because he had not yet read the whole report. We wanted to talk about how things dovetail together, and then we're bringing that full group back together on the 12th.
Okay.
So this is just before the whole group gets back, before the gang gets back together.
Thank you, Celeste.
Yeah.
Mike, are you okay? Looks like you're driving.
He's a
You're on mute,
Oh,
and he's not driving. Mike, you're on mute.
You're still muted, Mike.
SRC occupancy?
Yeah, so as has happened, we've had a lot of transition with our contractors, with our architect of record, and I thought that it was going to be Tim from Scott Edwards Architecture, but he actually transitioned us to a different partner within Scott Edwards. So I've met with him a couple of times. He's pleased to share that he's engaged with the building official in the city, and he's going to provide a report to us in the next couple of days of what that conversation was like. There's a lot of, I think, dynamics in play in those relationships between the architect of record and the building official. So I kind of wanted to make sure that I encouraged him to have that meeting and to get that process started, but I wanted to have them have that opportunity without me, I guess, coloring the relationship in any way. And that was something that I think I felt really was really important based on the conversations that I had with Brandon, previous architect. So I will have an update soon, but that I haven't gotten that update yet because of this meeting. But yeah, he has all of the information in terms of the tab report, the other work that we've done, the fire alarm work, all the correspondence he has available to him. So, and I'm confident. I think it's one of the partners at Scott Edwards Architecture. The firm there. It's not Sid, but it's one of his partners. So I feel really confident about the level of service that we're getting from him. Again, I kind of have SDCs, a couple of spots here, but we're still planning on having our public meeting as a part of the board meeting. If you remember right from our August public hearing, sorry, I said public meeting, public hearing, it'll be a separate kind of, it'll be the same meeting, but it'll be a separate call out in the agenda and the printed materials. We'll have public comment. Our consultants will be here either via Zoom or in person, and we'll have the language ready for the board should they choose to adopt the SDC. And I guess based on all the feedback that I heard, I feel like we're in a really comfortable spot with what the board is likely going to choose to adopt. So I'll have that language ready unless I hear differently from the board, or unless there's something that changes your perspective from now until then, or as a result of the public hearing. We've had the public hearing information on our website. We've sent it out. We've done what we needed to do in terms of compliance with ORS. I haven't gotten any feedback from those engagements, but if I do, I will share it with you, of course. The other thing that we're working on is down on our new business. It's still not quite through, but made good progress with the county and the city for collecting the IGA, for collecting the SDC, to the abbreviations. And I think we have good willing partners. I didn't know when we started this process that the county doesn't have any, they have collection protocols in place for other things, but they don't have, there's no other special districts that have SDCs that they're collecting for.
Oh, no.
So we're kind of starting, they have a different thing with Astoria School District that they're collecting for, but it's not an SDC, it's something else that's similar. So we're kind of working with them to modify the IGA, and we've had a ton of back and forth to help fill in the knowledge gaps and make sure that they're comfortable with what we need them to do. And the city is more familiar because they have SECs in place. And this is the first time that they'll be collecting for us or for a different entity, but just kind of something that we're working through. And I'll just be honest, from my perspective, this is something that I didn't have any experience in, so I'm kind of learning on the fly and trying to use a lot of our park and rec resources elsewhere in the state at Willamette Lane and SEPRD in Bend, because they have SECs in place to help with my many silly questions. So I'm glad that we have those relationships to help us with this law.
It's no small task for the assessor.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah, it is complicated, I would say.
Yeah.
So, new business.
Yeah, as you all know, we have an RFP out right now, a joint RFP with the city of Seaside for audit services. I included kind of, the city produced sort of a press release, and I wasn't able to kind of make it clean, but it's on their website, and I, kind of grabbed it and then included the adopted or approved audit request for proposals. Like I told Kyle, and I think a couple of others have asked, we haven't received any proposals yet. The audit period closes on Sunday night. I would assume at 11:59 p.m. But I'm fairly confident, pretty confident that we'll get at least one or two. We've had a couple of firms reach out to the district and to the city with some questions, specific questions. I think it's obviously a little bit unusual to have a joint proposal, but once we've explained kind of the reasoning for it and other questions that they had, try to answer those, I think it's made a lot of sense to people. And like I said, feel pretty confident that latching ourselves onto the city was probably the right one for us, because I think it makes the audit work a little bit easier, that they can do both of ours kind of in one swoop.
My only question was, it's not spelled out in the bid document, but I think we should have some level of participation in the selection process. Either participate in the interviews or the scoring, however they want to do it. But it seems like we should have somebody there, and if you want it to be staff, that's fine. If you want a board member to participate, just let us know.
So I would personally, welcome that. I'd love it. I think I would love to get some clarity on what the board wants, but I think maybe the best plan is sometime early next week, Monday-ish. I'll reach out to the entire board, and especially to you, Kyle, and you can decide how you want to handle it based on the number of proposals that we get and the timeline that we set moving forward. There's kind of a tight timeline for selecting, just because we want to get that person in, get that firm going. But there's plenty of time for reviewing the proposals and even for doing some interviews.
But Chris is the one that he's arm in arm with the auditor when they come to audit, right?
Yeah.
So would it make sense for Chris to be part of the evaluation?
He definitely will be, in terms of the staff perspective, but I didn't know, like, in terms of the board perspective, what you all felt like. So.
Me personally, I trust Chris. If he's there asking questions and scoring, he's the one that's closest to the work. So, but if you want a board member, I'll make time to show up, or somebody else can.
Catherine wants to volunteer.
Catherine loves the financial stuff.
I'm happy to. I can do that. In my many free hours.
That's May 11th to 15th, the interviews are, and that's going to create a problem. Granddaughter's graduating from high school in Colorado, so. Yeah. She got accepted to nursing school.
Which one?
University of Wyoming.
Congratulations.
So, I may be out of sorts for that, but
We can adjust and.
if any other board member wants to participate, you've got my blessing, and if not, then I think Chris would be a good addition.
I feel like we should.
I think we see a bit of more, so I got the audio to you.
We can hear you, but you're breaking up, Mike.
You're a little garbled.
I think lose this.
You might try, Mike, you might try turning off your video.
Excuse me?
You might try turning off your video. So that,
Well, my video,
yeah,
yeah, so, no,
Turn your camera on.
turn off my video,
turn your camera off, you might get better.
hold on. Okay, apparently, I don't know how to do that. I'm pressing my camera icon, but it's not doing anything. I think I'm gonna have to sign off unless we need to vote on something right away.
I think we're done with voting.
We're done with voting, but we'd like your input if you have some input.
I'm gonna lose you. I'm
All right.
sorry, I can't be there.
Okay,
Take it easy, Mike.
thank you, Mike.
So easy, but a mile plus 37 or mile plus 3.
You got it figured out, right?
Okay,
Skylar, how do you want it?
I think what, I would like to do is wait until Monday and see how many proposals we get.
Fair enough.
If there's going to be a decision that we need to make, or the staff feel that in any way uncomfortable making that decision, then I'd like to use the board as support and knowledge in helping to make that decision. If there's only one proposal and the city feels comfortable with it, and we feel comfortable with it, then we can still involve you, but I don't know what exactly you're going to offer respectfully. So, but I do think if there's questions or concerns, please share them, and I will share the proposals that we get as soon as we get them. Then we can review, and maybe if there's some red flags that appear, then maybe that's another indicator.
Is it common to ask for the closure on a Sunday night?
Oh, I actually asked Zach about that, because we usually always ask on like Friday night, but he said, well, I figured I wasn't gonna work on it over the weekend, so why not give the firms the weekend in case that helped encourage them to.
They submitted electronically.
Yeah. So I thought that was fine there.
Mm-hmm.
He's right, I'm not gonna look at it. I mean, if we close it on Friday at midnight or Friday at 5 p.m., chances are we wouldn't get to it until Monday anyway, so we're gonna just leave it open. Okay, I have a little presentation, PowerPoint, for this fee schedule discussion. And so if you can give me a second, I will set that up.
Did we already go over the IGA with city and county on collecting SDCs?
It was just kind of part of the SDC.
You didn't have more you wanted to add?
I did, sorry, and I should have just sort of looked that all together, but I did not. Thanks. Let's see how PowerPoint feels about this one.
He just has to come glare at it.
Just let me know. Yeah, push some keyboard button in one way.
How it works in my office, the IT manager just has to come and glare at my computer and it starts working.
Usually if I walk away from the computer, it starts working better. Something that when I get close, it
I'm trying to
stops
figure
working.
out how my email number, whatever you call it, didn't get sent.
Okay, so, this is mainly just to kind of help us, do some context, some history, and then provide some, opportunities for discussion. And I hope that we can do that. So, when we talk about fee review, what we're talking about is basically the prices that we set at the district for things, and also, for purposes of the board decision-making, the board delegated staff to set price points for programs and services and access. have a great deal of engagement and involvement, and ended up setting the in-district versus out-of-district percentage kind of the rates. And so it was much discussed for a long time, probably I think about a year. And then the board met in August in a special board meeting just for this purpose, and they reviewed some final options that were proposed by staff. If you guys want to see any of this, I can move, or you feel free to pivot your chairs. Sorry, or you'll be, I guess you'll see it in a different way. And they, the board at that point selected a model or adopted a model which included that staff had the option, or staff had the authority to determine a baseline price for programs and services, and then that baseline price would be discounted by 60% for in-district residents, except for youth programs and passes, which would get a 40% discount. And the previous fee structure that we moved from at that time was about a 50% difference between in-district residents and what I lovingly refer to as our visitors, our non-residents, our Gearhardters, our Cannon Beachers, our Portlanders, those people. Before that, there was a different fee structure in place where I think the percentage difference varied. It was as low as 20% and it was as high as 35%. So anyways, and then we implemented the fee change about 16 months ago on January 2nd, 2025. Because of some of the marketing efforts and the signage and the big change that this was, we wanted to make sure we were kind of really in a good spot to implement the change. That's why we did it kind of the first of the year. Some other context. So the reason why we're discussing it is it's several-fold. One of the reasons is that, as you've noticed, one of the things that could be impacting our budget, our revenues, would be obviously the rates that we set in our participation. And we want to, it's a fine balance, I think, in park and recreation agencies, and it's a balance that I think you're all aware of. We want to price our programs so that they're inclusive, so that we can serve as many in our community as possible, especially with our really essential programs like swimming and childcare programs and things where we're really benefiting the lives of our patrons and residents. But we also have to be mindful of the resources that we have. And so there's kind of, it's a sort of a tightrope that I think we all, board and staff included, all try to walk in a really mindful way and be really intentional about the price points for our programs and services. Over the course of the 16 months or so, we have gotten some anecdotal feedback from staff interactions and also directly from patrons or customers about the price point that we're at. And most of that has come from our visitors, our out-of-district folks, and because they've seen the rate difference between in-district and out-of-district, and some of them have been, I think, surprised or maybe even disappointed, frustrated in the difference. And I'm not saying that that's, I'm not painting that perception or that opinion with any color. So I just want you all to know that. There is or was some staff confusion about how to market and how to message this, and I'm just being totally candid. I don't think we have been able to do as good of a job as we would have liked with the messaging of why this is in place, what the reasons were for the change, how the price structure works. So I think that that's on staff to improve. We have and do encourage our visitors to buy into the district, but our process for that and our messaging for that hasn't been great either. And that's something I think I've had some engagement with Celeste on recently, but I bet you've all probably heard or maybe seen some feedback on that. I have some more data about that in a little bit. And then again, like I said, this really stems from a concern about maybe some dips in revenue in some of our programs and memberships as a result potentially of the fee structure change, which I think we sort of anticipated in the discussion that was a possibility, but we move forward. This is our current, what our current membership kind of fee structure looks like. These are all of what we would call the visitor rates, and then obviously the residents, y'all, and the rest of the district residents would get the discount off of this. Does that make sense? Just some little information about buying into the district, what it looks like. and some stuff that we've worked through with Celeste. So it's hard for folks to know, I think, where a lot of people, as it turns out, don't understand if they're in the district or not. People that love coming to the pool may not realize that they are not district residents, and people that do, that come to the pool or don't come to the pool and are district residents may not realize that they are district residents. There's a lot of confusion. It's surprising a little bit, but that is something that happens. The information to find out, our prices in District First Out are not centralized or formalized in any way. Really, they're kind of hard to find on our website and in other places, even in person. We don't list the in-district price in our larger graphics. So the graphic that you just saw, this one, it only has the one price. And that was actually a direct result of the many conversations that the board had shared, and that they wanted just the one price to be shown in order to, I guess, market, I think, and demonstrate the value to our residents and basically an appreciation to them for their support, for being a district resident, for paying their taxes, and for supporting the district, whether they knowingly and willfully did it or not, but I think it was designed in that way. But because that's the way that we have it, we're not necessarily listing the two different price structures for like a membership of programs. Sometimes because of confusion and because of that, wanting to be true to that that expression of having one price point, we don't list the pricing details in district or out of district on our marketing materials. So when we have a special event, for example, at Turkey Trot, we just listed one price on the flyer as opposed to an in-district and an out-of-district price. And that can create a little bit of confusion too. I'm not saying there's necessarily a better way. I don't have the answer to that question, but it's something that we've noticed. And then lastly, I think contributing to this is that the buy-in option where folks can buy into the district could be framed in a more positive way. Not only could it be marketed better and advertised a little bit better, but it could be framed a little bit more positively. Wanted to provide a little bit of information on how many folks are buying into the district. So over the last 3 years, those are some numbers for you. Thanks to Darren for helping me track these down, and also how much revenue is generated from those individuals. But it obviously depends on the assessed value of your home, how much you'll have to pay, but we verify that number, and then you pay what a district resident would pay.
92 cents per
92 cents per thousand, yeah.
So 2025 is for the entire year, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And 2026 is through April?
Probably, I don't know when Darren was able to run the report, maybe it's through today.
Through today.
Okay, so yeah, through 4 months.
So we
So
divide
Tyler, are we actually doing a different membership rate for, we don't have just based on an average, like the average house value or something like that? We're actually calculating for each person who buys in?
Correct.
What do we do for an apartment dweller?
Yeah, we have a process for that. Darren, remind me what the process is.
It's $46.
It's $46 for an apartment dweller.
Yeah.
So if we divide 52 by 4, at this time last year, we would have had 13 people
Yeah.
buy in, so we're ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not, again, not painting this. I think I'm just bringing this information. It's good to know. Sometimes it's I forget about this as a membership option. I think I have shared, and I would assume that is true. We have a list of the names. We could probably track the names of the folks that are buying in to our youth programs, our folks that are using like our preschool or our after-school program or plan on using our summer camp, because that's really where you'd find a lot of savings.
Would love to see like a marketing thing targeted to those people that are out of district. And be like, hey, did you know you can buy in and save money?
Yeah.
Particularly youth programs.
Some more context, just in talking to my good friend ChatGPT, we think maybe there's some,
I like Gemini.
what's called, yeah, sorry, it actually was Gemini, but I don't know if everybody knows that as well as ChatGPT, so it's kind of becoming like a Kleenex thing. Anyways, there's a concept called price elasticity, which when the price goes up significantly, so folks can view that as sort of a breaking point, and that they can choose. We've heard anecdotally a little bit about some of our out-of-district folks, because of the significant price increase for them to do some of the programs, not youth programs related, but more like swim lessons or swim team, that they are either taking their need for those programs to somewhere else, or more likely, it seems, just not participating in those programs at quite as high of a level as they used to. And just kind of not related to this other part of the slide, but I do want to just, again, I think we presented a lot of different information, but I think it's important. This is where some of our friends across the state have structured their out-of-district versus in-district rate. And I present that to you without color. And I also say that SEPRD is super unique because no other district has property north of like a Gearhart that isn't in the district, but north of Gearhart is in the district. There's not something like that at Willamette Lane or at Chehalem or anywhere else that I have found or heard about. And that's not just for a Park and Rec district, it's for any special district. I think it's really, really unique, and unfortunately not in like the most helpful way for SEPRD. So I can understand again why we did it like that. I'm just presenting that to you because that is something that I've even heard from my colleagues across the state, like, wow, you guys went with like a really aggressive pricing structure for out of district, and try to explain kind of the geography of our area and why it's like that, and that the district has a history of trying to work with those communities to encourage them to join the district, and that hasn't worked out for us yet. We want to provide some data. I do this with some really heavy intentional caveats. This is data pulled from our point of sale software. If you tried to match it up to our revenue and expense report or to the budget, it's not going to make sense. Those numbers are not going to talk to each other in a perfect way. But I do think it can present some trends that we're seeing. And so what we found, I guess, just looking at two of our programs that have been probably most impacted by growth and by the fee structure change over the last couple of years. Swim lessons, at this point this year, over 2 years, one before the fee structure change went into place and one after. You see some swim lesson revenue for in-district and for our visitors that's impacted in both ways. And then for youth programs, obviously we've worked really hard to grow youth programs a lot too, so that is contributing to this, including, like I said earlier in the meeting, we added a lot of infant and toddler capacity over the last little while. But you can see, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to make a note, just because something you said, I think somebody said in passing, that a lot of the memberships that are being purchased, are people who are paying for youth programs. And because of the high cost, particularly for the childcare-like options, the steep discount has caused them to purchase a membership.
Yeah.
So they would be counted then as being in-district members, correct? If they've purchased?
I think so. I am not 100%. I don't know if anybody in our staff would be able to give you 100%. I'm going to take this one all the way as far as I can answer, just because the software is a little bit quirky, and it's possible that things kind of get logged in not the right spot or not in the right way. But I think, yes, that would be the intention, is that after you join the district and pay your dues, so to speak, or your taxes, then you would be able to get that in-district price, and then that you would be reflected in those first columns versus the visitor column.
Question for the IT folks. So it works. Do we like click a button, checkbox something like, yay, you're in district, or like we just have to know that they're in district?
So what happens when you sell a guest resident piece, that's on a 1 year timeline, and what it does is it automatically puts a flag on their account that flags them as a resident.
So it like pops up and says resident.
Yeah, it shows up right up here underneath their name.
Do the right thing.
So up here in their information, let's say that here's their name, you know, where you can go and you can edit their information, all their personal info. It shows them based on their address, whether resident, non-resident. That doesn't change. What changes is the flag that's put on their account. So now, with the account flagged like that, what happens when they go to register for something over here, it automatically adds the resident discount
Okay.
to the
So that was
account.
kinda, I was curious if it was like gonna be an automatic thing, or if like people had to actually like pay attention and choose.
No, because you can set an expiration date on the flags.
Okay.
So so it adds basically a flag to their account, then that flag triggers this over here to apply the resident discount. It does not make them technically a resident, so they'll still show up here as a non-resident.
In the system is for this part potentially.
Potentially.
On this data, are there any other factors besides the fee schedule that would have dropped our numbers?
Absolutely.
I think our numbers went up.
Well, yeah.
And I'm a little confused, why are we saying dropped our numbers? Because this seems like, it doesn't seem, I mean, the totals, for one thing, the totals are increased across the board. So I'm kind of curious about where our numbers are, what is indicating that our numbers are dropping? That's what I'm asking.
I would point to our revenue and expense report. So, revenue
The
for.
financials?
Yeah, revenue for aquatics is at 57.68% when we should be at 75%. But, you know, that could be so many things. It doesn't necessarily have to be this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we budgeted for the past year over, like, I don't know what our budgeted totals were, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It could have also been that we budgeted much higher than our actuals from the previous year, I just don't know.
I mean, I'm not arguing with you, Celeste. I'm just saying, when they're saying like, where are we getting the things are down, this would be where I would see that things are down.
I look at visitors for 2025 is $74,000+ versus 24 was $93,000 for visitors.
So we lost 20
But
in that
then
column, it
in
means
districts,
30.
it's
Yeah.
up. Right.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, and
Right.
the 30 moved from one side to the other, so then did those visitors buy in and become in district?
It's the membership, right, that's what I'm wondering, which
Well,
in
wait
some
a
ways
minute.
would indicate that it worked.
We can't
That
tell
it
that
coordinated. So
because,
I don't know that it's showing us enough data to tell us a full story.
yeah, I agree. What we don't know is how many people we served. I mean, the revenue is only one part of the equation. We're in the business to provide recreation to people.
Yeah,
So did we serve more
Well-
people after the change, or did we serve less people?
and I agree with that although I think there's a thing that I'm hearing that I think we should just have agreement about as a board. Because I'm hearing the terminology, community member and district residents being used synonymously, and they're not synonymous. And I think we should get clarity about who our end beneficiary is, who's our first primary beneficiary versus, and it's not that we're saying that we don't want to put people from Portland to come and use the pool. We absolutely do, and we make it available to them. I mean, if you remember at Astoria Golf and Country Club, if you're not a member, you can't even go golf, right? So they've made it clear that you don't want, like, if you're not a member, you're not in. We don't do that. We have a way for people to come in if they're not members. And our primary beneficiary is our members. And I think we should get clear about that. Is that what we mean? Or do we want everybody to have the same level of access without a difference in, I think those are decisions to be made. And I do think I think we need clarity about that.
Yes, I agree. Another question for Skylar or Darren. Are these numbers seasonal at all?
I think just anecdotally, I don't think we have seasonality per se. I think if you're talking about aquatics programs, I see a lot of consistency, just generally in the numbers that I've looked at. Also, folks in the pool, that are in the classes, I think remain pretty steady, and I think Sue could probably speak to that, at least the class she attends. That's pretty steady, year long. With the exception of Christmas time, the holiday season, things tend to wane. But I think the remainder of the year, I see a lot of consistency.
Well, I mean, we're seeing differences in dollar numbers, but I'm wondering where the associated differences are in participation numbers.
Sure. We do have some of that information. I think what is a good point to remember, and someone has already captured it a little bit, but I think I'm going to draw it out a little bit more, is that, what is the expression, correlation is not causation, right? And so there's a number of other factors that are impacting participation, right? The economy is a big factor, right? There's a lot of other factors. Our swim lesson program, we changed the structure of it around this time, not knowing maybe that it might impact, but what we're seeing is less revenue. We also don't have as many swim lesson instructors as we used to, and so that's going to impact. So I'm not presenting this information and saying that our numbers are down necessarily. I'm just saying we're kind of searching for some reasons why our revenues, generally speaking, are a little bit lower than what we budgeted for and what we hoped, and at a time where the district needs all the resources we can get in order to keep offering the programs and services that we have. It's an important discussion, I think, for us to have.
Probably more slides.
Yes. Thanks. We wanted to also share a little bit of membership data. So these are just some of the types of membership that we offer, and you can see the trends.
Well, so again, 24 would be a fourth of the year, and 52 was the entire year. Correct?
No,
Or-
you're
or
right.
a third of the year.
26
third of
is
the
year to
year,
date. You're right. Yeah. Yep. And so really, I included 2026 because I think if we have the data, we might as well share it in a transparent way. But really, I think the most helpful information is looking at 2024 to 2025, because that's when the fee change. We're going from old to current, I guess, or previous to current. And so you can see some of the trends. There's a lot of kind of weird, I think, things with membership that I don't probably understand. Maybe Darren does. One thing that I think is really cool, you'll see a significant increase in our insurance programs. I'm not sure if that number.
That's the senior youth. Yeah, what's the senior youth?
So we have one fee structure that's for seniors and for youth, but it's
Oh.
the same cost. So I just kind of lump them together. They're not the same. Sorry, they're not the same people, but yeah, it's one fee structure. So you get a little bit of information, but yeah, I think as you can see, even just in terms of the insurance programs, I mean, I don't know what percentage jump that is, but that's pretty substantial. Going from 16 in 2024 to over 400 now.
Yeah.
Maybe we're categorizing those differently, but that's the report. Anyways, significant.
A couple questions here, yeah. So I think it would be, so part of what I'm wondering is, that big of a jump in insurance programs, I'm not sure what that means. So I don't know what that means for revenue. I also am not sure what that means on costs, like to provide those services to those insurance program members. So I'm curious about some analysis on there, because those are huge jumps. And I also have sort of a small note is, I really propose that we should reconsider what we call this. Because when we call this membership data, it conflates with what we mean by a district member. And I just think these are I would call these passes, because you can purchase a pass, whether it's a punch card or a pass. Because when you say membership data, and we're also trying to get people to buy into membership, that's super confusing.
It is, yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So Skylar, the insurance programs, they pay for participation for seniors.
I will tell you that
every year, a piece of paper gets sent out to me and everyone in my class, and I don't think most of us return it. And there's never been a, hey, you guys have to get this in. And then somebody at the front desk said, you realize what this is? It's helping us. I said, you need to communicate to the members so that when,
It's from your insurance company, piece of paper?
yeah, I mean, because basically I'm not paying anymore. Silver Sneakers is paying, but I have to fill out the data. And there's, in the mixed in with it, which could be problematic, is you're evaluating your swim instructor. I've never liked that being in there. It's like that, I mean, I don't know if it's known that that's there, but it is there. And I have taken a little extra time to fill it out, to say something about, Dorothy or Linda or, or Annette. But I wish that wasn't in there, because to me, you're asking people to sign up saying they're using the insurance, and that should be the sole purpose. And if you want an evaluation, do that separately. And some people may not have turned it in the past. Like I may not have turned it in because I didn't like that. So it's probably worth looking. It's a 3-page document that's handed out yearly to us.
I think Celeste is right, though, like, we don't really know, what are we recouping on those?
I think we know. What
Do we? Well, I mean, it's not here, is what I'm saying.
The
So, like,
dollar
we go-
figure?
Yeah, well, so they're paying us a certain amount, but then we are putting on the program, are we making, is it
We don't-
a wash?
Yeah, I mean,
money?
I think we don't, I guess I would say, yeah, we cater some of our programs to our population, which includes a good chunk of people that are in that aging adult population. But I don't think we add programs specifically for our insurance folks. If we want to have them get in the water or get in our programs, and we we bolster the programs that we have, or that we would have. Yeah, you're right. Our catalog probably looks a little bit different than some communities that might have less of that population, but I think.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
do agree, though, about the membership, and I think that can be confusing. So I kind of wish I would have thought about that before, but that's where it gets really tricky, I think. And yeah, the terms that might work in other contexts and in other agencies, other providers, don't work that good for us because of the challenge that we have in marketing that out of district membership option.
So what does that insurance number mean? Is that the number of times somebody has billed insurance for an activity they participated in? Or is that the number of people who are on insurance programs?
The latter.
So we have 439 people who are on insurance programs right now.
Yeah, but there's options within the insurance program for monthly and for 3-month and maybe, so I'm kind of like put all those together in that box.
Oh, so some of that data may be repeated in some of the other line items, is that what you're saying?
No, just that there's different types. And I think there's how many different like insurance?
For insurance benefit, it's a 1-year term that they're signed up for, so it'd be like like they're just signing into it. We get a monthly report because sometimes insurances change, and folks get dropped from their insurance, so we review those reports, we go and terminate the membership, and then we generally have a front desk staff person reach out to them. Because what happens when those insurances change, then that chances are if you were silver and fit before, your insurance probably changed, so now you're probably eligible for Renew Active or the AARP product or something like that. So yeah, we work with three main carriers, American Specialty Health, Tivity Health, and the third one, United Healthcare, is the third one. And so yeah, we work with the big three. They're really our very few other programs out there, and if there are, they're very, very small. So.
What I want to add to that is in February, I buzzed in, like I do every day or 5 days a week, and it buzzed me like there was something wrong, and the response from Holly was, oh, we just have to resubmit. So you're not just coming in willy-nilly. There is a monitoring system, so that things are done correctly.
So, just one final comment from me. Pricing a product is one of the most difficult things you can do, and there's half a dozen different ways to do it. But in the business world, we're all aligned with maximizing revenue. But we're not necessarily aligned with maximizing revenue because we have a commitment to the community to provide recreation resources. So I don't think together all board is on the same page strategically with what we're trying to accomplish with pricing changes. I mean, that's my feeling.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle, and I would even say when you say our commitment is to provide the whole community with recreation, what do we mean by that? Do we mean tourists that are in our area?
Yeah, well,
Do we mean,
I think
Yeah.
that we have an obligation to make recreation available to everyone, and that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be at the same price. But
right, yeah.
But today's tourist is tomorrow's resident.
perhaps, I mean, today's youth swimmer is tomorrow's boater. So I want to make sure our youth programs are solid. But
Yeah.
I don't think we're on the same page in terms of what we're trying to accomplish with price changes. That's just my feeling. Maybe we're not.
I agree, and I think for me, when I look at this, I do agree with you, Skylar, that I think the fact that we have holds, Gearhart and Cannon Beach holds, if Gearhart and Cannon Beach came into the district, let me give you some numbers, because I ran the calculations based on assessed property values at one point. If Gearhart came in, it would add $521,000 to our budget immediately. If Cannon Beach were to come in, it would add $3.2 million to our budget. With those types of numbers, we could actually not charge members anything for most of our services and still have our budget balanced. And only charge out-of-district people, only charge the Portland folks and the tourist folks. The problem is, I don't think we can talk Cannon Beach and Gearhart into paying when it is so much cheaper for them to stay out of district.
Well, and a lot of
Or I don't know how to do that.
well, a lot of their property is owned by non-residents. So they're not going to vote on tax increases.
If it's their second home, they don't get to vote.
They don't get to vote,
But-
correct?
But that's what I mean. They're not.
They don't get to vote. It's the residents that get to vote.
Yeah. You just have to talk to residents. I'm with Celeste. I mean, that, as far as like people being different, I'm on board with Celeste, which is where we started when we did the fee review, was we wanted to raise it for Gearhart and Cannon Beach and make it a little uncomfortable so that maybe they go talk to people and say, hey, we want to be part of Park and Rec again.
Well,
That's the discussion I remember.
the people they're talking to is their insurance programs, and it's like.
Well, and that's fine.
No, but
I
we
mean,
pushed them to the insurance program.
I've heard a few people say, thank you, I'm grateful that out of district has to pay more.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Because
Well, I'm fine with that. I'm just, all I'm saying is.
I think staff are hearing a lot of complaints from the people that are having to pay more, which is to be expected. I see why, if they've been basically getting a freebie this whole time, they have not had to pay taxes, and they get low user rates, I can see where it would be a jolt. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah.
Do you have more slides?
I do.
Okay. So far, what I am getting is from the first part of that, hey, I don't feel like these numbers are too terrible considering where we're at for 2026 compared to 2025 and 2024. That's my feeling. I also, what I'm getting from the first beginning side is that we need to develop how to market this better and the communication. And I think from what Celeste is saying, very clearly kind of outline the terminology, I think would help. And giving the front staff more tools to be positive about this and present it in different ways. Sure. And market it to those folks and get them to buy in. That's what I've gotten so far, but please proceed with the rest of the stuff.
Can you give me a little detail about, I mean, I paid, when I was paying an annual because it was cheaper. So under senior youth annual in 24, only one person versus then the next year we exploded into 46. Did we just do something better?
I'm not sure, Sue. I just got the data. I wasn't able to comb it.
Isn't that when we switched computer systems too?
No, because we've had this point of sale software for longer than that, but it is possible that we might not have had that as a membership option before, and that's why there was only one. I'm not sure.
I also wonder, Skylar, I mean, I don't know, is it possible that staff are confused that a senior youth annual membership here is the same as buying into the in-district membership? And that gets sold sometimes as a way for an out-of-district person to be able to come in for the...
No, I don't think that's I don't think that's a
you don't think
possibility.
that happens?
Because I'm the one that generated this presentation, and it's only based on
Okay.
the raw data report, and
Yeah.
none of the staff have even seen it up until right now. So here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the result of some ongoing discussions, and obviously in consideration of the financial position of the district. That's why we're having this discussion, and I want to be clear, because I know that this topic has brought out some strong feelings in the past, respectful, strong feelings with this board, which I really appreciate. Yeah, I'm not proposing a change. I'm not advocating necessarily for a change. What I'm doing is trying to provide the board with as much information to make decisions moving forward that is possible. And I do agree with y'all in that having Deer Heart and Cannon Beach would be an amazing set of circumstances. I mean, that's why if you go back a few years in our history, we were working with a different contractor, Oregon Solutions, to have a campaign or some sort of a energy, some momentum, build some momentum within those communities to get them to join, right? And we kind of hit stall on that project because we were working on the master plan, and that was a really important component of that, that momentum building. But I think we'll have an opportunity in the future to re-engage those communities and see what we can do. Let me get through the few other slides that we have. Just obviously we've talked about the insurance program surge and some other topics. I think just in general, some discussion points. I don't think the data is conclusive that we have lost, a little bit to my surprise. I don't think the data, at least what I have, doesn't show causation between the fee structure changing and our revenue dipping significantly. I think as I showed, and again, that's a little bit to my surprise, but I think there's more data and more analysis needed, and we'll dive into that. And presenting the data that we have right now as kind of a jumping off point for this discussion, or the board can say, hey, we're really happy with the fee structure as it is. We want to keep an eye on it, but maybe we don't want to change it, or maybe we don't even want to revisit that topic right now. One of the things that some other special districts have done, in addition to offering non-district residents, or guests, a buy-in based on their assessed value, is implementing a quarterly or even a monthly flat fee buy-in to those folks. It's usually a little bit lower overall than what the assessed value, like tax, that they would be paying, but for some folks that has been a great gateway into getting them to technically become a member, I guess, using the right terms, at a rate that's maybe a little less, intimidating than, the assessed value percentage that they would pay. Another option that we could do is tier the fee structure even more. So we already are doing that with having two different kind of structures, one for youth programs and then one for everything else. And I'll remind the board that they made some exceptions for the private swim lesson program and for pickleball. So those are two other programs that are kind of tiered in a different way than 60%. But the board could look at tiering the fee structure more for certain programs. And one of the programs that I think we're really mindful of is our swim lesson program. And right now, not simply because of this, perhaps, but certainly we can say that our swim lesson participation is lower than we'd like it to be. I think it's the goal of our aquatics department, it's the goal of all of our staff, probably the board too, to teach as many kids as possible how to swim, to get them enrolled and make that program really accessible. However we need to do that, I think that we'd be supportive of that.
Out of curiosity, for swim, back when my kids were learning to swim, the moment swim registration opened, you had to sign up or you lost out for that month. Is that
Still
the
happening.
case?
Still definitely happening.
So is it a certain age group that is maybe, like, how are we not serving enough kids? If it's still selling out and we're still, like, is it a certain age group that's not filling those spots? Is it that we don't have more capacity? Because you mentioned
I think it's significant based on lack of capacity, and also what we've heard anecdotally is that our guests are not able to pay the out-of-district rate for swim lessons. And so they are...
But we're still filling...
We are filling
spots.
But perhaps we're filling only within district.
So paying the lesser of the fees.
Yeah.
And thus generating less revenue. I mean, we're still serving the same amount of kids, in theory?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know...
I mean, not the same
back in
amount as we were before, but that, again, that's probably more based on capacity
Right.
than the fee structure.
I mean, I know back in the day when my kids were there, because we have a superior program, which I still believe that we do because we have the Wolf sisters running it, we had people choosing ours over Astoria, driving from Astoria to come to our program. So, I mean...
I think we still have some of that going. We just have less capacity is significant.
I think one of the things when I look at, our total aquatics revenues budget, so our user fees, total revenues that we are anticipating per year is $230,000. Again, if we were able to get Gerhardt to come in, we could make aquatics free for anybody and still be ahead. We wouldn't charge user fee to any member.
Then we'd have capacity problems.
But we have an extra, and actually we'd be up a total of $250,000 to hire staff to do more swim lessons. Unless it's just building capacity usage, then we have another problem. But in other words, I think the amount, I think that more analysis would be helpful. I'm grateful for this analysis. I know I was one of the people that asked for it, Skylar, so thank you for putting this together. But, the user fees are not actually where most of our money comes in. And I just think tinkering around with a couple bucks here and a couple bucks there on the user fees, I think we should consider that as we set our prices. But if we're lacking capacity, which I believe is probably due to staff capacity, not having enough staff to run more swim programs, because I'd love to see every resident come swimming. I'd like to see all the kids swimming every Friday night or whenever, every open swim, see the place full and rocking. And I do think, I think there's a strategy here that can get us to where if residents know that they can swim for free, I think we get more people in.
If only we knew a Gerhardt resident.
Celeste, just a question as it relates to the strategic plan. this pricing concept is one of the most strategic things we've done since I've been here. And
Yeah.
I wonder if we can make room for a pricing strategy in the strategic plan. Because
Yeah,
we're gonna come up with.
We talked about it. It was one of the things when we talked about revenue sustainability, that's one of our key areas. I don't think we were specific about the pricing strategy, but I think it's a good recommendation, Kyle. I think we should try to figure out what that strategy is. And we have to make some tough decisions, right? Like, do we mean that the pricing leans towards in-district members who are paying taxes, or do we mean everyone in the community? Because those are two different, we're gonna build things differently depending on that answer.
I think that goes back to clarifying the terminology.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that goes back to focusing on marketing and getting that information and marketing to the staff currently.
Yeah.
I don't know, my feeling is I think we just keep on keeping on as we are for the moment and kind of keep an eye on it and then, but really focus on getting a marketing strategy, documents, terminology, equipping the staff with tools to communicate with the patrons.
I just don't want to forget the child that answered the phone when I was tasked under Mary Blake to phone a bunch of parents, and the child, answered the phone and said, and I said, hi, I'm just calling about, swimming, and I hope that you're able to swim. And the little girl, the mom asked, what's in the background, I could hear, what's going on? Well, they're asking about swimming. Mom, I want to go swimming. I don't know how to swim. And I said, well, can I talk to your mom? Well, she's fixing dinner. And then the response from the little girl was, I can't swim, I have to eat dinner. And I said, oh, well, we can, I'll call back. No, we have to eat. I can't swim. And I went to Mary Blake after that, because that has never left me. That child, and Mary said she went to that family and then got that child in the water. And so the thing I don't want to forget is children need to swim, especially with that ocean in the backyard. And, pools around and things like that. Kids need to know how to be safe around the water. And I just don't want to forget that sometimes it's an adult that doesn't know how to swim. And we want to make sure that, we're making whatever our abilities are, that those people can learn to swim.
Well, and I think we have some amazing partnerships in place. You said kids have a budget for open swim days. The school district pays for all the third grade, all the third graders to come learn to swim. We have the foundation that can provide, tuition assistance. So I don't feel like we're excluding people if it's a money thing.
I'm looking at the 6-year-old, and, when we got here, my now ex-husband didn't know how to swim and wanted to take our daughter out on the water, and I'm like, no, not until you know how to swim. And so he got in classes. But, I just don't want to forget, I understand the third grade program, it's amazing, and despite some of the grumbling I hear from my classmates, I'm grateful to see all those kids jumping in the water to swim. I want more of them. I just don't want to forget the kids that are in first grade and second grade, and making sure, and I know we have scholarships. I don't know what people know. I don't know what the marketing is, but I just want to make sure that we offer play to our residents and to those visitors.
Do the scholarships just go toward in-district residents or anyone who applies?
I think we have them open to anyone that applies.
Okay.
Karen
So-
agrees.
So, thank you, Skylar. Are we done with the slides?
Yep.
Celeste, you've got a handle on the strategic plan and where this is gonna fit?
Will do, we'll report back.
And you ladies are good with where we are so far?
Marketing.
So Catherine is recommending that we have a marketing plan underneath the strategic plan. So we'll have.
We actually do have that already, Kyle, that was part of our REACH, strategy, and so there also is a marketing, section for that. I also have, because Skylar and I did trade some emails around this, and he was nice enough to forward some of the materials that staff currently use, and, Skylar, I apologize, I have not gotten back to you yet, but I do have some proposals, including some of that language and terminology changes that I think might help staff, better explain. So I think we have some interim steps that we can take, but I agree, it should be in the strategic plan also.
Some marketing and some communication. So
Throw it in Gemini.
Yeah.
throw it in.
What?
Throw it in Gemini.
And Gemini said it like that,
Um,
talk to people?
So you hand them the Gemini.
Seaside Swim Team.
Yeah, so last month, Bob Heyman, one end, came to, the board and shared some information about, an opportunity to, form a seaside swim team under the USA Swimming umbrella, and we've been working with Bob on that. He's begun and very, knowingly, I guess, or knowledgeably, begun the application process, and we're actually able to meet as a team tomorrow with a couple of the staff that will be really key in involving in that plan. I think there's a goal that we have to expedite our timeline in getting the application process in, because we have some of our own swim team kiddos that want more opportunities to compete, but there's also a batch of high school swimmers that are looking for, that need a club to basically be a part of, so that they can continue growing and learning and practicing
During off-season.
during their off-season, during their non-school swim time. So I just wanted to report on that. I know that Kyle, we had talked about that being part of our agenda, and I'll continue to share updates on that as we move forward.
Well, I would just like to be in a, like we couldn't ask questions about last time he was here, and I had a ton of questions, so if there's a chance that we can
Yeah, maybe
do an exchange, that'd be awesome.
The other thing I would be asking is about whether the meets are sanctioned or not.
Sure. So I can print off the materials for you, but I sent them to the board electronically. Bob had done a lot of research on the pool and the depth, and he had some documentation from USA Swimming that we would be able to host sanctioned meets at the pool. There's some mitigation that would need to occur in terms of knowledge base and things like that with certain swimmers, but he felt really confident that it's a safe environment given the depth that we have.
Because I was able to see some documentation that said no. You know, and I came in and measured the pool, the shallow end myself, because at one point it says 3 feet in the pool, and on the deck it says 2'9" and what I measured with the yardstick that I compared to Courtney's measurement was 2'8" of water. And so I just, having filled, like I said, I filled out the paperwork for the injuries.
Sure.
And that's why North Coast Swim Club used Astoria for the meets.
Sure. That reminds me of like movie Hoosiers, and I go to the other gym and measure the.
Richard Hackman.
Yeah, still 10 feet. I was sitting in the pool like, still 2 feet.
Yeah, I brought my yardstick in.
ED report.
Yeah, I think I've gotten through most of the priorities and goals that we had set. Just a reminder of our next 2 meeting dates as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. That May meeting, I think it will be, we'll have a lot of stuff to discuss with the public hearing for SBCs, as well as the adoption of the budget, amongst our other agenda topics that we'll need to cover. That's it for me.
Can I ask a question. Why didn't we adopt the budget this month?
Yeah, it's because, we have some requirements to publish, legal notices.
Okay.
And, we could have done it, but we would have had to publish the notices or get the notices published pretty quick after the budget, meeting on Tuesday, and we wanted to wait till after that meeting, of course. So we knew that we still have 2 months, and honestly, we could adopt the budget at the June meeting and still meet the county deadlines, I think. It's our position that it's a little bit safer to adopt it in May. So it shouldn't, I think, take too long, but it's something that we'll need to do. The formality is more making sure all the right things are said and the right words are, or the right lines are signed.
In the right forms have to be available. So, board comment. Catherine?
Congratulations to Kip. I have known him a long time. I would stop and chat with him, and then be walking my little toddlers into their swim lessons. And once you get him going, he has lots to say. He's very passionate about the district and the maintenance, and I think we are a very valuable employee in him, and I'm glad that he came back to support. Thank you to Darren for a great presentation. Sorry I had to leave partway through. I'm sure the rest was phenomenal. That's about it.
So last month I neglected to comment on, Audrey Kanika's letter, and I talked with her because, what I wanted to comment on was the quality of the staff interaction and reaction, and that we should be commended for the training that is offered and was offered for her. And I just thanked her for giving us a letter to say thank you, to acknowledge that. I appreciate Kip. I've known him a long time. I've known his wife through a different association, and he's always kind and sweet, and I appreciate his dedication. It's kind of fun to see the maintenance guys out in the parking lot feeding the seagulls. Anyway, I continue to be on puddle patrol. Savannah has been part of that. We have gone in, so today Marty suggested 10 o'clock. Last time she spoke it was 11, and I'm in the pool. I come in at 11 o'clock 4 days a week, and I bring in Lindsay or Savannah. I only take pictures if the locker room is empty. I have taken pictures once, and I showed Courtney, he has those copies, because the puddles were pretty minimal. The one that Marty mentioned is a small puddle in the middle, outside the middle stall of the bathroom, but it is pretty small, but it is present. I keep forgetting, because I don't like them. I have a pair of shower socks that I was given as a patient in the hospital, and I thought they were absolutely silly, but I have one in the car, and I just think it would be silly for us to try to offer those, because I think they're just so, they're just so silly. And one of the things that Marty mentioned was walking into the locker room barefoot, and, my mother taught me never to walk into a locker room barefoot, so I always wear my flip-flops. And yes, I did, back when Justin was still here, I had a couple of different trips and slips and that kind of thing, but I consistently wear the same flip-flops looking for that reaction, and I don't see it. I see that the puddles are pretty minimal, and I am looking at 11 o'clock 4 days a week. I mean, I'm not here on Saturday or Sunday, and when I come in on Tuesdays at 9, I'm looking at puddles. I mean, I just say I'm on puddle patrol. So.
Where did you get your shirt?
Huh?
Oh,
Okay.
your shirt.
Well, and I think the most important thing for Marty is, you know, and she's bringing up things from 11 years ago, she mentioned that. And I have talked to the person who was named today, who had fractured a wrist. That was many years ago, several years ago. So we are aware of the history. We have been acting, it was in Darren's report. So I hope that when Marty listens, she is able to hear that we are doing something. We are addressing it, and the fact that she was here for 7 minutes and left, it's important that she know that you've got a dedicated, she can be disappointed if she wants to be, but we are, I mean, I didn't decide to do puddle patrol for my own fun, but I do look, and I do not acknowledge, and I report back to Courtney. The other day, I saw 4 puddles, which is so unusual. I usually see 1. And I said there are 4. It was a busy day with a lot of kids in the water, so maybe there was something to it. But there are other days with a lot of kids in the water, and I still see just the 1. So I am looking. I am diligent about it. I report about it. I'm not slipping. I'm not seeing people slipping. But I am paying attention. So I think it's important to know that we are trying. And I wanted to also talk about the crosswalk. I am very grateful. I am more and more seeing people use it. The other day, someone crossing 101 in the dark, wearing dark clothes, didn't activate it, and I had to slam on my brakes because he did run right in front of my car. So I'm grateful that I'm seeing more people use our crosswalk for safety. And I watch people, drivers, and they are being receptive to those people crossing the street.
It's still on top.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
I know.
The Catherine Parker crosswalk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful that people are using it, and I noticed some kids not using it. I make sure I go use it if I'm crossing the street, because I want to make sure that I'm a role model. So anyway, and then, you know, I just am thankful for our staff, and Darren, your presentation was inspiring. I really love the 3D printer and saving us, you know, up to $3,500. I don't understand the technology. I just think it's amazing that we can use it. And again, we look at all these financial things that we are dealing with, and I'm grateful that we have people with better knowledge than mine. I just ask questions, and so I'm glad to have answers, and that we are diligent about making sure that we are minding our pennies and, yes, pennies, nickels and dimes. I'm also grateful, thank you, Skylar, for that presentation. I have questions, but I am grateful that that's a jump off spot. The swim team thing, I'm frustrated that I'm having trouble getting data, but I have seen 2 things in writing from 2026 guidelines that say the pool depth should be, at one place says 4 feet, which is the middle of the pool. At one place it says 3 foot 6 inches. I have not been successful in several attempts to reach out and get somebody calling me back from USA Swimming, so I'm just going to drive over to West Lynn and show up and say, please talk to me, and I will attempt to get more information, because I want to be supportive, but I want our kids to be safe. Having been a meet director, a swim official, then on the old North Coast Swim Club, you know, we did have 2 pools because we could not have a sanctioned meet, and then we didn't feel we could have a safe meet in Seaside, and that's why we used Astoria. So I want to be a team player, but I also want my questions answered directly, so I'm trying. And I guess, I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I want to thank Jennifer. Somebody told me my lanyard would break, and it did. And so I was over at the SRC, and I said, I need a gray one, and Jennifer took off hers and gave it to me. And so it's little things like that. I said, oh, no. No. She said, no, so you can't have a gray one, and I want a different color. So it worked out well, and I am glad to have my unobtrusive gray one. And on that note, thank you.
Celeste.
I'll be brief because my colleagues already said a lot of the things that I would just add a ditto to. I do want to express my gratitude to you, Skylar. I appreciate how responsive you are to not only my request, but from what I know, other folks' requests. And I do appreciate that because it's to me, it's a signal that you value the input that we all try to bring to the table, even if sometimes it's tough or difficult that we ask a lot. So just want to express my gratitude to you for your responsiveness on things. That's it. Oh, and Catherine should get a plaque.
Thank you, Celeste. I want to address some of my comments to Marty. And Isaiah, if you can record the following times, 6:50, 7:42, and 7:52. Those are the times we talked about the shower room. And Marty, I've got some bad news for you. We're going to find a solution to the shower room. It may not be the solution you want, but our first obligation is to make sure the floor is legal. And we're having some difficulty finding the right inspector to determine whether the flooring meets code or not. If it meets code, we're probably not going to change the floor, Marty, sorry. But we may enact some operational issues to make the floor less slippery in the times where it's most likely to be hazardous for our patrons. We have not forgot about this. This has been a front burner item for the last 9 months, at least, 9 months. We're not, and we haven't forgotten about it, but my comments to both Skylar and the board has been, we are not going to do this twice. We're going to come up with a solution, and we're going to implement that solution, whatever it is. But we can't afford, on the taxpayer's dollar, to keep replacing floors if they don't work just right. We're going to do our research on the front end and fix whatever we need to fix, and then move on from there. So that's my philosophy. We haven't forgot about it, Marty. We want our people to be safe, and we're going to do that. Secondly, Darren, thank you for the presentation. It was very informative and nice. I had the word crosswalk marked on my notes. That's underlined 3 times with a star and 2 exclamation points. So I have used the crosswalk probably half a dozen times in the last couple of weeks. And you know what happens is cars park right at the edge of the crosswalk, and so you can't see if there's traffic coming until you step out into the driving lane, and it's really hazardous. And Catherine, thank you for your efforts to make sure we got a safe crossing place there. The one thing that I would say is when you push the button on the crosswalk, there's no indication to the walker that the lights are on. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to lean back, and if I lean back and try to search, it's a little more difficult probably than most people have. But I've had trouble. There's no chirping noise, or there's no light that shows the crosswalker that they're free to cross. And I don't. What's that?
That'll be the next one. I always look up to see that it's on.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, I still wait for cars to stop.
It's great if you
Yeah.
don't have a sea collar on, you can look up and see the lights. But I think it would be a useful addition, if it's inexpensive, to just put a noise attenuator or some kind of light on the crosswalk side, so people know that the lights are operating. And then you talked about some of the upcoming, technological things that we're doing, but I'm still thinking about that charging station that we heard about a year ago. They promised us they were gonna install in September. It's now almost May, and I haven't heard anything about it. And I don't know if a new administration has moved the money around and they don't have the money anymore, what it is, and that's okay, just I just want to land that plane and get it off my desk.
Can I add just a tiny little caveat
Sure,
to
yes.
that comment that you just made? Back when we discussed that and talked about it, and we were discussing the dog park and the dog park and the dog, and I'm like, well, nobody really uses it, et cetera, et cetera. In the last 2 months, I have seen more people and dogs in that space than I have ever seen in the entire time I've lived here.
Oh, well,
So, I would just like to keep that kind of, that we may need to find a suitable place for those folks to go. But
well,
and
that adds
dogs
a
will
level of
find it.
complication to Skylar's place.
Well, and my caveat, for her caveat, is that I've had complaints about the quality of that dog park.
Is it, yeah, it's not,
I mean, the electrical things that you're not supposed to have your dogs around, you know.
Yeah, we got 3 miles of beach out there.
yeah, but some dogs can't see off.
I know.
So, anyway, I just thought, I mentally, when I park in the parking lot and I look over and I'm like, oh, there's some people using this, and I think about the charging station coming, and then it's not coming yet, but anyway.
And finally, my last comment is sometimes people do a lot of effort, hard work, and they never call attention to themselves, and they don't always get the recognition that they want. But Celeste, over the last couple months, your efforts on the strategic plan, this other stuff, I mean, thank you. I mean, you're a volunteer and you're working your tail off for the district, so I appreciate that. And those are all of my comments, and the board, or wait, we don't have to, I can just bang the gavel and we're done.